Welcome to the SVG-TV news for Friday, October 24th. I'm Khalil Kato with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves is calling on van operators in the Redemption Sharps area to refrain from taking strike action next week. The van operators are planning to stage a strike on Tuesday out of frustration with the conditions of the roads. They say the roads are putting them in expense, and if this is not addressed, they will remain off the roads. Speaking on the issue today in Parliament, PM Gonsalves says that he has spoken to Minister of State Julian Francis, who held a meeting with the operators, and they are hoping to commence work on the roads this weekend.
And he has contacted two contractors who will start to do some immediate work on those roads, that particular portion of the road, over this weekend, so that hopefully by Independence Day we will have some corrective, if not of all those areas, but of some of the worst aspects. So it is in that respect that I ask for consideration and restraint by the minibus operators, and I give them my heartfelt apology and support. I do not think that they are, in this democratic country, that it is unreasonable for them to voice their protest on the condition of the road in that area. But I ask for their own reflections and a sense of balance in all the circumstances, particularly since
the government is seeking to build an Ebola center in SVG. Prime Minister Gonsalves made the announcement in Parliament today, where he outlined that the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, has given the government of SVG a plan for a facility, which he says is in the hands of the Ministry of Health, and they are under instructions to work with the chief engineer. He, however, pointed out that the facility will cost a lot of money.
The President of Venezuela said to me, Ralph, you know, as always, I will help you to do what you have to do to deal with this matter. Personally, man to man, spoke to him. There are other places I have to seek the assistance from, and we have to put some of our resources in it. And it's a special design. Look, even finding a place is problematic. You notice in Barbados, 400 parents and students from the St. Ursuline Convent and people around are protesting the government of Barbados wanting to cite the Ebola center not too far from the school. They say find somewhere out of the way. Everybody wants a center, but nobody wants it near to them.
PM Gonsalves noted that they are looking at a few places. However, he is asking that the public be rational and proportionate.
Quarantine, we put under a public health observation, because a quarantine is different from a public health observation. A quarantine is where the person has symptoms of Ebola. But we had put 5 Nigerians since we issued the ban on the 29th in relation to the 3 other African countries and the special arrangements for the Nigerians. They came in as medical students, but they didn't have the documentation which we had asked the medical schools for them to have. And Mr. Speaker, they were put under a public health observation or public health watch. And the 21 days have gone, and the last one was since the 17th of October. That person has left.
Members of the opposition New Democratic Party boycotted today's sitting of Parliament, protesting against what they call are certain negative developments in SVG. The letter of their boycott was read by the Speaker of the House, Henrik Alexander.
These include the continuing persecution of businessman Bigabigs, the case of the High Court Registrar, the ongoing poor fiscal and economic situation, including the high and increasing levels of unemployment, the Clear Valley housing fiasco, the government's debt to the private sector, the state of the National Insurance Services, among others. Yours sincerely, Honorable Annie E. Eustace.
Alexander says he will have to consult with the rules on the standing orders before responding to the opposition's boycott.
So I'm saying that I will have to consult with Rule 74 in relation to this matter, whether I should accept this as a genuine reason for not being in Parliament and whether it has been in conformity with the rules of the House.
Meanwhile, Minister of Foreign Affairs Camilo Gonzalez says he is saddened that there was no contribution from the opposition to the parliamentary debate for the bills which were presented in Parliament today.
That a bill has been crafted by the state, analyzed by the state, well, not the state, by the government, the governing party, and passed without any contribution whatsoever by the opposition, despite their responsibility, their obligation to make contributions in this way. Not since the New Democratic Party won all 15 seats and rammed legislation through the House without any possibility of debate have we had a situation where bills are being debated, drafted, going through select committee and the like without representation of opposition. And I want to place on record, Mr. Speaker, my disquiet and my profound sadness that the opposition has taken this role.
Gonzalez noted that it does not serve the government and democracy particularly well.
Since it was announced, this tactic of non-cooperation as enunciated by the Vice President of the New Democratic Party has been a tactic in search of a justification. They said first that they're not cooperating until the Prime Minister calls elections. I've written you a letter, Mr. Speaker, which essentially says they will not cooperate for this and that host of maladies that they perceive to be existing in the country until things get better. And Mr. Speaker, that in itself is also perverse, because here we have an opposition. Let us accept every one of their accusations as accurate for the sake of this conversation. They make accusations that things are not well in the country. Therefore, they will not come to Parliament to hold the government's feet to the fire for the things that are not going well in the country.
Members of the Bikers Association here are mourning the death of one of their own. 51-year-old Martinican national Lele Grocoval died at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital earlier today after he was involved in an accident in the Arnesville area. Reports are that while riding his motorcycle, he collided with a truck in the area of the Richardson gas station. A group of regional bikers who are currently in the state have been coming here annually to join their local counterparts in biking activities for SVG's independence celebrations. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez says he is of the belief that this generation of young people is the best the SVG has produced since it was founded. Speaking at yesterday's National Schools Independence Rally, Dr. Gonzalez says while he strongly believes in the future of this generation, there are some things that need to be changed.
I don't want you to get into too much quarrel and argument, and worst of all, fight. I heard a discussion on the radio, and I know about it because I see the reports, that there is a small minority of students who get involved in violence in the schools. I'm asking you, please, don't disrupt your class, don't injure your fellow students, don't irate your teacher, and don't let your tongue run away with you. Be civil in what you say.
PM Gonzalez further encouraged the youths to examine themselves and make the necessary changes.
We must begin to learn self-restraint. I also want you to take care of the schools, because a lot of money, the furniture, Sometimes you go into a school at the end of the term and you wonder if in a particular class that Hurricane Thomas passed through, or that this class is in Baghdad. The money which we have to spend on the furniture and to clean up the place is money which we can better spend doing other things. You have to keep your environment clean and you have to take care of what you have.
Meanwhile, Deputy Prime Minister Gerlin Miguel says national pride has to start with each and every Vincentian as charity begins at home. While addressing the rally, Miguel says national pride is all about what the people can do to ensure the nation is better for all citizens and visitors alike.
I challenge you to be patriotic in your approach to nation building. For this year's theme, Working Together to Enhance National Pride, is full with implications which tell that we must all identify with the aspirations and goals of our nation and do the necessary work to help her achieve them. We must accept that each national has a role to play in the development of our nation, and as such must be treated with love, respect, dignity, and fairness irrespective of status. We must care for those who are less fortunate, including the elderly, the differently abled, and the poor, and those who are dependent on our better angels to care for them. We must band ourselves together to combat injustice, crime, and the causes of crime for a safer and a just St. Vincent and the Grenadines. As students and young people, you must take your education seriously and exhibit positive values so as to be modern nationals worthy of emulation. We must respect our national anthem, our national flag, protect our environment, and recognize the contributions of our trailblazers and pay tribute to them.
She also used the opportunity to encourage adults to embrace their children and their involvement in sports, culture, and the creative arts.
Learning in and through arts and culture enhances learning in other domains and helps to build self-esteem in our children. We may say that this list is quite daunting and challenging, and I agree with you. It is indeed, but it is also achievable, and I am counting on you to be part of the process in making our young nation a shining example for all to emulate. I urge you not to lose this opportunity to be part of history making. Let's not look back with regret with what could have been, but rather let's start another revolution, the National Pride Revolution.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Prime Minister says the famous words uttered by iconic U.S. President John F. Kennedy, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country," should serve as an inspiration to each Vincentian in their quest to enhance national pride.
Be assured that whatever positive contributions you make to St. Vincent and the Grenadines will redound to your benefit and the benefit of all Vincentians. I am sure all students, teachers, parents, in fact, all citizens will join with me in congratulating this year's National Scholars, Exhibition and Bursary Awardees. I applaud and salute them, for they represent the embodiment of hard work, discipline and commitment, and are living proof of what it takes to be successful. But let me hasten to remind you that these shining stars did not do it alone. I am certain that they will be the first to tell you of the importance of their support system, parents, teachers and friends in shaping their success stories.
If persons have more knowledge of their culture and heritage, they will become more committed to it. This is according to featured speaker at the UWI Open Campus Annual Independence Lecture, Dr. Lennox Honeychurch, who spoke on the topic, "None but ourselves can free our minds, facing our past to chart our future."
The subject that I have dreamt up for this lecture, None But Ourselves Can Free Our Minds, is really based on my belief that an understanding of your heritage and history is a liberation for you. That if you live in a community that you do not understand, you do not conceptualize, do not know anything about its roots, you are not going to be able to live as a fulfilling experience within that place as if you knew a background to it. And also, knowledge leads to love. Knowledge leads to commitment.
Dr. Honeychurch points out that Caribbean leaders of the past had the feeling that persons had to understand the world around them as well as their roots to get the soul of emancipation.
This was an earlier one, T.A. Marichaux, and he's speaking down in Guyana in 1928 to the Negro Progress Convention. And he says, discard the habit of deprecation so prone among us, and achieve the emancipation of the soul, which will eventually lead to that of economic and political emancipation so essential to our advancement. And we shall visit Marichaux again when we get to the 1930s, and when he's critical of some of the West Indian parliamentarians of the day. Very dynamic character. He did not have the grand following that Garvey had, but within the Caribbean, as a newspaper writer, as a philosopher, T.A. Marichaux was an outstanding individual.
Meanwhile, Dr. Honeychurch says while persons should also accept and have knowledge of the past, they should also have knowledge of the nature of the present.
We establish ourselves, for instance, within the Caribbean space, within the climatic conditions that affect us, trade winds, hurricanes, ocean swells, the lee of all of our islands with the calm waters, and the kind of communities that develop in the leeward side as opposed to the wild, stormy windward side. And the way in which this affected the movement of people, particularly the early Amerindian people, as they came from the coastal area of South America and the riverine delta of the Orinoco, as they came up. So by understanding all of these things, the movement of the crowds, the rain, the fall, we can understand the things that affect us. Back in December 24th, before Christmas, all of us from Dominica downwards here were seriously affected by this wave. St. Vincent more so. It's kind of a crucible of rain and storm that hit you, and with the sad loss of life as well.
The telecommunications company Digicel today joined with the newly formed cancer support group Scorch to bring further awareness of the serious threat of cancer. Speaking at the cell on Halifax Street, Treasurer of Scorch, Everest Charles, commended Digicel for its partnership on such an important issue. Charles says while Scorch provides moral and other kinds of support to persons living with or affected by cancer, it is also seeking to provide financial assistance.
The treatment for cancer is generally multifaceted and multidisciplinary as well, and it does cost. The costs are high. The costs are high financially, and the Scorch Cancer Support Group is seeking to provide such support for cancer patients and their families as well. And we're grateful again to Digicel for partnering with us today to provide such support.
And naturopath Dr. Stan Horn told the gathering how important eating properly is in the overall functioning of the body.
Naturopath. The cornerstone of naturopathy is nutrition, and what we believe is that nutrition can deal with just about any disease, any condition you can name. It's actually important for us to eat properly. We have right here in St. Vincent and Grenadines the fresh fruits and vegetables that can do a lot for us. One great physician said, let the medicine be your food and let your food be your medicine. So right here in St. Vincent we have the food that can be our medicine. We need to use this medicine as our food.
Meanwhile, Vice President of Scorch, Margarita Tash, told persons affected by cancer that it is important they seek support and medical care.
Read a lot, accept your diagnosis and get educated, but be careful where you get your information from. You have to make sure that you see clarity, because persons will be giving you different views, especially about chemotherapy. We have heard a lot of negative things about chemotherapy. Oh, it would make you sick, it would kill you faster than the cancer. But it is important to listen to your healthcare providers and do the best that you can. If you're not certain, seek clarity. Okay? We also want to make the appeal to persons who are diagnosed with cancer that you can find a support group, and Scotch is there for you. Okay? It is very difficult to go through this disease alone. In the beginning, you might not want to share, you might not want to talk, but at some point, you need to get support from friends, family, church family, your work family, or whoever is available that you can trust to give you that support.
To commemorate St. Vincent and the Grenadines' 35th anniversary of independence, the St. Vincent Electricity Services Limited VINLEC today hosted a lunch-hour independence cultural concert. The concert, which also served as a customer appreciation event, took place at the corporate headquarters in Pauls Avenue. The event saw the VINLEC Choir performing folk and patriotic songs, along with a performance from Calypsonian IPA. There was also cultural ambassador. The Vibrating Skakes also performed the beloved independence song, Our Nation is Born. Head of Communications at VINLEC, Tamara Job-Sprott, thanked persons for patronizing the event and wished all a happy Independence 2014.
Independence on behalf of the management and staff of St. Vincent and Electricity Services Limited, VINLEC. This year we are hosting an independence concert being presented by Vin Voices, and that's the company's choir. Traditionally, the choir has been doing a lot of activities around the Christmas season, and this time we thought it necessary to have a concert for independence, given that it's a historic occasion in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the 35th anniversary of independence. It's also giving back, where the company is giving back to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Our primary role is to provide electricity to our customers, but we also give back socially, and so this concert is just one way of us giving back to the community, and we can see that persons are really enjoying the concert, and we're happy that they're doing so.
Here's a short excerpt from today's concert.
First figure, figure 1, 1,
At this time, we'd like to make a slight correction to information carried on the excerpt last evening of the winners of the various categories of the Lions Club Public Speaking Competition. The best prepared speech went to the overall winner, Eric February of the Mountain View Academy. Second place in the competition went to Damali James of the Bishop's College, Kingstown, with third place going to Chrislon Fraser of the St. Vincent Grammar School, who also won the best main topic. The best impromptu speech went to Andrika Samuel of the Girls High School.